So I was browsing through the GOG storefront, the most recent, and I happened to discover a random mod that happens to be a fan-made expansion to Quake 2 known as Call of the Void. This particular game takes place after the events of the newest expansion at the time, Call of the Machine, which was released on a remastered version of Quake 2. Which I just want to also be specific to, is that Call of the Void is only compatible with the remastered version of the game itself. It works on both Steam and GOG, with it being available in GOG as a one-click mod program that is a brand new thing. You don't need the game to be installed in order to play it, but it doesn't mean you don't need a game in order to play it. But with this game itself, it was made by Rest in Pixels, who went on to make Bloom, Quake Doom, and a new game that's coming out soon, Void Walker. But there is a story too, is that they thought that the war against the stroke was over and that the humans won, but that hasn't been the case. What is cool is that they actually did something pretty unique. Now what these guys did is that they ported the enemies from Quake 1 Remaster into the Quake 2 Remaster. So you're fighting both 1 and 2 of Quake enemies, and also you're actually having a crossover world between 1 and 2, which takes place interconnectivity. There's also some places that are going to be familiar, and the game also itself has the DLC weapons from the Quake 2 as well. So it is pretty cool they included it. But dang, that DLC weapon is the loudest thing on the planet, regardless. But if you guys are gonna think about listening to recycled music over and over and over again, not that it's bad, but for some reason in Call of the Machine they reused it instead of making new ones. However, this isn't the case for this one, as the music is brand new, and it does definitely feel like you're playing a Quake 2 game. I mean, it is a Quake 2 game, but this is more of a fan-made expansion, which is supposed to take place after Call of the Machine. So the thing is that some of the enemies from Quake 1 have been taken over from the stroke, and meaning you get to fight them. Sometimes you'll see them fight each other, but other times they'll be working together. And sometimes there are new hybrid enemies of the same existing enemies, they just look different in all means. And oh yeah, remember your favorite lightning enemy from Quake 1? Well, he's back. But for whatever reason being, there is such a confusion for this one. Even if the enemy looks the same, there's something of a height difference and also the firing difference. What I mean is that there's one that shoots lightning and the other one that just shoots missiles, which can lead to a lot of confusion because there's not a lot of clarity as to if I'm going to get sapped or I'm going to get blown up, which is one of the dumbest things I've seen throughout this mod, and that was just about my complaint I had. But other times is that at one point, when I was in the storeroom or whatever with the lava in it from earlier in the game, I felt like I was getting lost because I was trying to find the power cube to power up the stuff where you need to progress through the game. But I ended up passing a door that apparently was there, despite me looking everywhere, regardless. But I will say about this mod is that it has 6 interconnected levels that you guys can explore. And let me tell you, they are not easy. Yeah, this is going to be one of the more challenging mods, especially when you get to the later end of the game. They get carried away with grenade launcher guys, and I'm not making this up either. You're going to be seeing a lot of that. And also throughout playing this, you'll be fighting 2 bosses. Well, the first one you've already dealt with in one of the later or whatever episode that you decided to play. And the other one, well, let's just say he's a tough one. But it is quite similar to the first boss we dealt with in Quake 1. So it is pretty cool to see both worlds be part of one thing. Medieval and this futuristic type stuff. So you're going to have to watch every corner that you play in this thing. Now, I am sad to say that no, if you guys have the console version of Quake 2 Remastered, it does not work. Because why? Well, there is no mod support for console version. Unlike Quake 1 Remastered and the recent Heretic and Hexen collection, which is pretty baffling if you ask me. So really you'll be playing a mod that pretty much feels like an expansion pack But the thing is, like, the later parts will be difficult, of course. But while I was making this video too, I did some digging too, that I even found out that with the Quake 2 remaster not including the PS1 version, which is again baffling, there is a mod that is dedicated to that whole thing and is pretty much compatible with the remaster version of the game itself. And I have to give them credit, they pretty much live up to its PS1 counterpart pretty well. But back on topic, this one basically just has the hyper enemies of like some of the existing ones. But like I said, it's like it's been taken over by the stroke because evidently you can see them making the machine parts, and you can also see some of the machinery that's a part of some of those enemies itself. But if you guys are pretty good at this mod and whatnot, then, or at least just the game itself, you should be able to get this mod, at least fan-made expansion, done all in one sitting. But also, according to the game's trailer, there is co-op support. So for you guys that want to play this game together and want to get through it all, then by all means, you can also do that yourself. So with that being said, I think this is one of the best mods that pretty much released on Quake 2 Remaster. And it's something I think you guys should definitely give a try whenever you can. It's pretty easy to install, but if you guys still can't figure it out regardless, you can always just get on GOG and install it, though you're gonna need Quake 2 in order to play it, but you don't need Quake 2 to install it in terms of GOG.